Wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
The host of the Straight Shot No Chaser podcast on the Black Effect iHeartRadio Podcast Network.
Tezlyn Figaro. Welcome.
Tezlyn Figaro.
Welcome,
Thank you.
welcome.
You forgot to say Hood Whisperer.
I didn't say it?
No.
Oh, I thought I said the Hood Whisperer. Okay, I'm sorry. The Hood Whisperer, Tezlyn
Correct.
Figaro.
You named me that. So
And what happened to your hair? Who was you fighting with that thumb like
and it's
that?
a damn everybody thinks that I was fighting,
Okay.
which I'm down to have a fade. Let's be clear about that.
I'm down for a
I'm
fade.
down for
I
a
think
fade.
that's clear, Tez. I think
that's
people know
very
that. Yeah.
Last night, our beautiful sister, Tamika Mallory, shout out to her birthday party. Went to the party, and I was swing dancing with Tiffany.
Okay.
And she really, swung me really hard. Not blaming her, but just saying we were swing dancing. And so it was a glass on the table, and to break my fall, I literally broke the glass with my hand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I got 20 stitches.
Oh, wow.
And she is the best. She followed me all the way out. We laughed. We had a good
Tiffany?
time. Yes, Tiffany is the bomb.
Tiffany Lofton?
Yes, Tiffany
Okay.
Lofton. Shout out to Tiffany Lofton.
Wow.
We had fun outside. I went to the doctor. The doctor's name was Dr. White.
Okay.
And when he
Dr.
was
White. Was he
right,
white?
he was white.
He was
and
white,
he was
yeah.
like, do the okay sign. I was like, well, you know that's white supremacy. I really can't do it. He wanted to make sure that my hand
Throw
was
up a
all
blood
good.
sign.
Huh?
Why you throw up a
Yeah,
blood
so I
sign?
did. Pyru. Whoop, whoop. Y'all gonna getting me in trouble today. But yeah.
But everything good now.
Everything's good.
Okay.
It was so much worse before, though. I do want to say, every 2-3 years I get stitches. I've had 15 plus 2 years ago. Most of the commentary that you have shared that I've done on Fox News, I did with stitches inside of my mouth.
Why'd you have
And
stitches
nobody
inside
knew
your mouth?
that. Unfortunate circumstances.
Wow.
We'll just leave it there. And had a lot of stitches. And people didn't know that. You could hear there was something going on with my mouth. But people didn't know, so I did it literally through the wire.
You were like, Kanye, through the wire.
Yes,
There
through
you
the
go.
wire.
There you go.
Literally.
Well, Tezlyn is here, man, and there's nobody that breaks down politics in a digestible way that the regular, everyday, average hood nigga can understand.
Appreciate
Like
that.
Tezlyn. So tell us about this January 6th hearing committee. Why all of a sudden is it all this pomp and circumstance? It's all over TV. It's all over the news. What are they trying to get out of this
And why
situation?
now?
That's a great question. Probably a better question for our elected officials. We do know that everything is strategic when we look at midterms and things coming up and bumping that back up. I actually believe, though, they have been investigating and looking at the data and looking at the facts and going through the information. That is a long process. Not making excuses because, I don't make excuses for politicians at all. But a lot of the evidence gathering, I do believe, took longer, even though we can see with our eyes what happened. Just like when we talk about with police reform, police brutality, we see what happens, but there's still evidence that has to come into that. But to be honest with you, and you know me personally, the January 6th thing to me was just white folks white folking. I mean, just to be honest, you and I, we talk a lot about that. That has not been one of the things that I've just been following, just to be honest with you. I'm more concerned with the issues of Black America, and I just believe that most Black folks, even though I know that is what they did can lead to other things, most Black folks are not really talking about January 6th, probably the way that some people think that they should, because it's just not affecting their everyday life. So it's just not something that I just...
Why are they investigating? And that's what I'm confused by, because you got a lot of them that have been convicted already. So why are they investigating? What are they trying to prove?
We had members of Congress that they said could possibly have been involved.
True. Well, somebody always is involved. It's a system. That's why we call it systematic racism. It's never just one person, or damn sure not when it's time for Black folks to go to jail. 94 crime bill to be exact. It's always a conspiracy. It's always somebody that is behind somebody and behind somebody. The key is the question is really getting down, getting that information, getting down to it, having the facts to actually prosecute and win. I don't really have a lot of faith in that process, to be honest with you. Because I don't have a lot of faith in the system itself. So, as far as I'm concerned, white folks, white folk, and that's about my only comment I have on that.
Well, you don't have any faith in the system, but the midterms is right around the corner.
Yeah.
Should Democrats have any faith that they going to keep the House and the Senate?
No, they're going to get slaughtered.
Wow.
That's just the bottom line. Very similar to my hand. They're going to get slaughtered, period, in a discussion. But I've been talking
Republicans
about...
in 7 or 6? I talk about it like it's an NBA series. So I say Republicans in 7 or 6.
No. It's a complete wipeout. Like
Sweep.
It's over.
Wow.
But again, this was the sweep that happened in 2010 when I left the Democrat Party. And a lot of folks just weren't paying attention. I say all the time, Trump was the best and worst thing to me that happened to black people because people started paying attention. I've been talking about this shit for years. A lot of people have, but I'm just saying my own personal story. I got the tapes to prove it. When I left the Democrat Party in 2010, it's because they fucked up after 2008. You had the motivation, you had the movement, you had all of this energy, and you did nothing with it. So what Trump did, because he made it entertaining, he made it a reality show, folks started paying attention. And so after you saw Trump doing all of the stuff that, yes, was fascist, yes, an abuse of the Constitution, now people saying, well, Joe Biden, why can't you do it? Why don't you get gangster like that? He even said, I believe, earlier this week or last week,
Jimmy Kimmel.
I don't want to abuse the Constitution that way. Well, we want you to abuse the Constitution in that way. At the end of the day, you have to, or you should, you owe your voters something for their vote. And the problem I tell people with this, and people say, oh, give him time and he can't do this and do that, then why did you lie about it while you're running? That's my main thing. Nobody asked you to volunteer a lie. Nobody. You know, I talk about it often, being in the family, being in the room when he called George Floyd's family. Nobody in the family said, hey, can you pass legislation? You know, what are you going to do? He volunteered that lie. So when you run for office, like I always talk about, pimps, politicians, and pastors have a very similar speech, the way they give me, you, us. When you volunteer that lie, and then you do not deliver, and then you say, well, I can't do it. Well, you knew that when you volunteered the lie.
That's right.
Joe Biden's been in office for 40 plus years. He knows he needs Congress. You knew that. So if you knew that, why didn't you say that? But the pimp game is all about tapping into folks' emotions, making them believe in this hope that doesn't exist instead of being realistic. They still have not figured out that if you deal with somebody straight shot, no chase, if you give it to them real and say, you know what, I can't really do this, but I'm going to do that. And you just, and you set the expectations realistic, people say, okay, that makes sense. It's the blatant, flat out lie. And Joe Biden, again, I don't give a damn who don't like it, Joe Biden used that year where emotions were very high because of 2020, you know, with all of the protests going on everywhere because of COVID. And he used that as an opportunity to win because he's ran 2 times before that. And so my issue with that is really just the honesty, Charlamagne. It's the volunteer lie for me. Nothing's worse than a volunteer
So how
lie.
do you tell people at this day and age to go out and vote, right?
Yeah.
What do you tell them?
Yeah, what do you tell them? Because, I mean, you see what's happening. You see every time we go out there and vote, it seems like when they get in office, they change sides immediately.
Well, my thing is, and Glaze brought that up, was one of the things I'm here to talk about. Text 66866. Push the line to that. Text push the line to 66866. What I'm doing, I don't tell people who to vote for.
Just confused me, so say the number one more time.
Okay, 66866.
Okay.
Text push the line. What I have decided to do, what I've done for years, training hundreds of folks every year. This time we're going to do it in Atlanta, Georgia, September 10th. The beautiful Cobb Center. Nobody has to pay a dime, not even for your lunch. I want to train about 300 people, candidates, operatives, and organizers in order to run your city. So, to answer your question, I don't tell people who to vote for. I don't tell them what party to align themselves with. I am an independent. What I do is say, get in the game and do something. And so, to me, that is on the local and the state level. The federal level, it is what it is. At the end of the day, the local and state really does matter. Your city commissioner, you know, your state rep, your state senator, not U.S., your mayor. You're talking about 5 or 6 people, typically in small cities, that make decisions. And so when you have influence there and you can show that, hey, I can organize 1,000 people, I can get 500 people, you know, to align with my message, that's where, you're able to get more of a result. So to me, it's not about necessarily just voting, it's who you're voting for. And so I tell the homies all the time, if you don't like how they moving, then let's stop chasing them and replace them. Get in the game. Run for precinct chair. Run for dog catch. I don't give a damn what it is. Do something. And so as long as you're doing it, even if you're doing it to be a disruptor, everybody's not going to win. The first session that I'm doing is teaching you how do you define your win. It can't just be about the win. It could be to disrupt. It could be to have a movement. It could be to get a message out. Whatever it is, I've worked with countless candidates who have won with nothing in their pocket, felons, arrested multiple times because they got out there and hustled. Your hustle will beat an incumbent if you out there doing what you should be doing. So that's what I'm about. I'm trying to get people organized. Fuck it. I'm tired of talking to people about, we got to do this and do that. I'm tired of talking about the federal level. Let's talk about the state and the local.
I want to go back to 2 things you said because it's interesting. You said you left the Democratic Party in 2008. I just want to, 2010. I just want to clarify, you're independent.
Absolutely.
Because people hear that and they stupid. So they be like, so she's a conservative Republican.
Absolutely.
But no, you're independent. But also, That was during the Barack Obama years.
Yep.
So that was when it was supposed to be peaches and cream for black people.
Yeah,
What made you leave then?
Well, at the time I was in Florida. I was sitting on the League of Women Voters. I was a board member there. I worked with the 2010 census. We were going through redistricting at the time, the same thing that you're seeing now. I also was the African American ambassador for the Chamber of Commerce. I had a staffing firm, the Allied Group, with 300 employees that I employed myself, going through a divorce with a newborn, no money in the bank. I challenged the NBA on the NBA lockout. We won. I was doing a lot as an individual person. So I saw that if I could do that, me, myself, as a single mom, going through a recession, by the way, because I started my business in 2008, which was a recession. If I could do that, I had a very low tolerance for leaders who have budgets, leaders who are elected to do what I'm doing just on GP, leaders who have asked people to put their faith in them. And I would scream at the table, why are we not engaging these folks? It's almost as if they like the pimp game. They want to keep you, not everybody, let me not do an absolute, but most of them, they want to keep you down and downtrodden and, oh man, we just got to keep on fighting. Why not talk about the good things that are happening and how what you're doing can actually make a difference? And the reason why I just believe what I saw personally in the state of Florida was they figure that as long as I keep you upset, that's going to engage you more. And so what has happened is that's backfired, because now people are saying nothing's happened, nothing's changed. For example, with police reform, over 100 cities have implemented some type of police reform since the murder of George Floyd. You never hear about that. You would think that they would talk about that and say, look at the things that we're doing in the city, but they don't. They just say, oh no, we just got to keep fighting. And so what's happened is people have given up. I gave up in 2010, and so many more, are giving up now. Want to encourage people to understand that in your state, you may be in a state that does not require you to register. For example, Georgia, you do not have to register to be a Democrat or Republican until you actually go to the polls. So we have to get in our mindset to be a little bit more strategic and not be so available, for them to handpick us and say, oh, we know we got this covered, or we know we got this state because this is 90% Democrat, and make them start really earning our vote. I'm not anti-Democrat. I'm pro-black. I'm not anti-anything. I'm pro-black. And that's what I think a lot of us are finally getting now in what we're seeing now. So
why should, black people, young voters, why should we be encouraged to vote in the midterms? Or even in 2024,
Yeah, I talk about, so we have voter suppression, and then we have voter depression. And some people are just simply not encouraged to vote. I mean, period. They don't see the difference in their life. But I encourage people, though, to talk to your city council person. Why are they not making the difference in your life? They're the ones that have access to be able to fund a lot of your nonprofits. They are the ones that have access to be able to keep the city clean, the potholes, keep regulations reasonable so that people can afford, to live in their city. So when these city council people get off with not having to be accountable because they're busy talking about Trump, when your state rep, not your U.S. rep, when your state rep is able to talk about these large issues like abortion or January 6th or all of these things that they know damn well they don't have any impact on, and you're not asking them, how come you didn't fund, our football program?
That's real.
How come you didn't fund our basketball program? When you're not getting down to your actual local representative, you're not seeing a difference, and they're getting by with basically scamming you, in my opinion. Not everybody. I work with a lot of great candidates, but we have to really start teaching people that it's not about the federal level. It really is about the local and the state. And the federal should be pointing to the local and the state to say, hey, they ended qualified immunity in New York City. How come we can't end it in Oklahoma? Hey, they ended qualified immunity in Colorado. How come we can't end it in Missouri? So when you hear people saying, oh, we can't end qualified immunity, oh, the police union. Do New York City not have a police union?
Yeah.
Does Colorado not have a police union? If Sylvester Mayor Turner in Houston was able to end chokeholds, why can't another city end chokeholds? So there's a lot going on, on the local level that I tell people to get involved. So I don't talk about voting. I talk about getting the game.
So voters should just be focused on hyper local, basically.
That's what I believe.
All right.
So if not, so we look at Biden and Kamala Harris. So what would you give their grading if you had to grade them? What would their grade be at this day and age?
I'm going to follow my brother Charlamagne. I think you said an F-, but I don't even think an F- exists. Yeah. It's
And why?
Well, again, it's the voluntary lie it's not that I don't understand how this process works. A lot of folks come in the comment, you don't understand how it works, thinking they giving me some new information. I understand how the process works. The problem is manipulating our people. Joe Biden is the only one that said, I owe you black people. Literally, the only one. Barack Obama didn't even say that.
Dang.
So to turn around and in January or February, I believe, when he went with our leaders, who they call our leaders, and told them on tape, I'm not signing shit. I'm not doing an executive order. Just put the pimp game down. I said, I'm not doing. Where was that same energy that you had when you were running? Stop. Again, I hope people go back and listen to me on the Ghetto Boys podcast, because I broke down pimps, politicians, and pastors. Me, you, us. It's the same speech, the same format.
You can break it down here, too.
Okay, I can break it
Why
down
not?
here, too. Okay, great. Pimps, politicians, pastors. Not everybody, but I want you to follow the speech pattern. It's always me, you, us. So the politician, if you listen to the speech, they start out with me, and they literally train folks how to do this. Hey, my name is Tezlyn Figaro. I'm from such and such. I'm my age. I grew up in this city. Then they go with the you. Hey, DJ Envy, I know what you've been going through. I know your pain. I know that last night, using my example, last night you went to the hospital, and were you able to afford the health care? I know that really hurt. You and I have something in common. I had to go to the hospital before, too. You and I together, that's the us. You and I together can make a difference. All I need you to do is give me $5. And then let's move on and let's make a difference. If all I need you to do is elect me and give me $5. That's the politician. Then you get to the pimp. Me, you, us. What does the pimp do when he started out with me? How he dresses, how he looks. I'm looking good. I'm such and such. I'm pimp whoever. I got this. I look good. Look at my car. Look at what I have. Then he goes and talks to the woman. You, look at you. You ain't doing so good, baby. How he treating you? Not treating you right. You giving that up and you ain't getting nothing for it. How you moving? How you living? Me and you together can make a difference. All I need you to do is go out on that track and give me your $25. $50. Me and you together can change the world. Is that not what the pimp do?
That's right.
Is that not what the politician do?
That's
now
right.
Let's get to the pastor. Now again, there's some good pastors out there, but this is the speech, me, you, us. I'm a man of God. I'm a woman of God. The Lord sent me. You know how they talk about, in the church, the blessings come down from me. To me, it flows right onto you. And then in the church, they'll say, I know I'm talking to somebody. Am I talking to somebody in here? I know somebody in here understand. Have you ever been to church where you sit and say, damn, seems like you're talking to me?
Yeah.
That's the you. The me, you, us. And some of it is definitely anointing. Some, because I'm a bootleg preacher myself, but it's still the same speech format. Me, you, us. Have you feeling guilty? Have you feeling some type of way? All I need you to do is come down and pay this offering. Pay your tithes and pay your offering. Because me and you together, too, will touch and agree. Me and you together, we're going to get blessings. Is that not me, you, us? It's the same speech format, literally. And so that has been used to manipulate, even in the black church, what gets more money than anything else. The strongest PAC out there right now is a Jewish PAC. We have no PAC, Political Action Committee, for those who don't know, that for black people that is as strong as the current PACs that are out there now for other communities. All the money goes to the black church. Those are just facts. So when we're not using, when that speech is used to manipulate in the church, politicians. You remember when Cory Booker ran and he was talking about, I know what it's like. Remember during the debate? I know what it's like. People shoot up, and I've got plenty of friends. Remember, he was homie this and homie that. No disrespect to you, Cory, but he was homie this. I'm from Jersey. Was that the same Cory Booker that was giving a speech about defund the police? How saying we don't need to defund the police? So you flipped the game. You did the pimp game, the politician game, to identify with me. But then when it came time to deliver, you pimp slapped me like a pimp, literally.
That's right.
So it's the same format, and so we have to understand it and recognize it. And don't get mad at the game. Just understand it and know how to play in it. And so people get upset, so they get depressed and they say, "Fuck it, I don't want to do it." No. I'm trying to teach you how to play the game. Play the game exactly like they playing the game, and just, start using that for.
So how do we stop being hoes?
How do we stop being hoes? I don't know. I think a hoe is always a hoe.
Damn.
She's always gonna have sex, one way or the other. The question is she gonna get
What you
something
gonna get
out of
from-
it? That's right. Be the best hoe you can be. Where's the camera looking at? Be the best hoe you can be. You gonna hoe that thing out. I'm right. Yesterday's price ain't today's price.
Yeah.
So is Biden a one-term president then?
Yes, I believe so. I believe he knows that. I mean, even if he had said originally that he probably wouldn't run the second time, that his whole thing was about healing America. You can't heal the hearts of man. Only God can do that. We want actual results. So, yeah.
You know, it's interesting, even on a federal level, I don't even know who they got up next.
We don't have a bench.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Like, there's literally no bench. Because, again, people don't want to run. People are discouraged to run. People don't see the point in running. And they haven't invested in the people that I believe they should, which is the community.
Now, you know, a lot of people may know, they may not know, you do a lot of work with Ben Crump.
Yes.
And there's a Netflix documentary called Civil coming out that's documenting Ben Crump, and you're all through it. You might as well say you the co-star, brother. What's that about?
He said that. They followed Attorney Crump for a year, and I was around, a lot of that time, and so I'm really blessed and honored. Shout out to Nadia, and before people get mad at him, Ben didn't say, put her in the documentary. They followed him. And so some words that I said, during a speech made it to the documentary because it was something that needed to be said. What's so interesting is last year, Juneteenth, I was on a panel with some New Jersey elders is what they called themselves. And they were so upset, when I said, people are tired of people not calling people out for what it is. Are you afraid to call people out? They got so upset. They took the entire panel off YouTube. They refused to let it air.
Wow. And
the same thing that I said in New Jersey last year is what I said in the documentary, and this time it'll be to about 20 million. You see how God works? When he wants your message out, he's going to make sure that people hear it. And so I do want to say this, and I know we're coming back with Ben, but I want to say this because I know people in the comments right now, Ben Crump, there's a couple of things that are really important that I just want to make sure that we constantly stress, and that's what I stressed in the documentary. I won't say it word for word because I want people to watch it. But I hear a lot of people, why do they always call Attorney Crump? Why do they always call Attorney Crump? First of all, they call Attorney Crump, he don't call them. So that's number one. Attorneys cannot solicit clients. And I ask people, even if you don't rock with him and how he get down, I ask them, why is it they don't call the local attorney where you live? Is it a lack of advertisement? Every hip-hop station has some radio commercial, call me if you've been injured in an accident. Billboards everywhere. So why do they have to go outside and call Attorney Crump? Why did I have to call Attorney Crump for the Housecloth case of the 13 black women who were raped in Oklahoma? Because I contacted that local attorney, and local attorney said they don't want to make any noise. Why did I have to call Ben Crump about Monroe Bird in Tulsa, Oklahoma, who his father is an ultra-conservative? He told me at the gate, I don't want Ben Crump, I don't want Al Sharpton, until they started dragging his son's name. And that's when he said, can you call Ben Crump? These local attorneys, local mayors, local representatives, why are they not on the mic? Is it because they don't have access to one? No. The answer is they call Ben Crump because your local elected officials, your local attorneys don't want to piss off the DA. They don't want to piss off their mayor. They don't want to piss off any of the people that tell them to keep it on the low. Only 5% of Attorney Crump's cases are police brutality. So when people in the comments say, he just getting something for blood, what about the $100 million that he just settled for the brother who's alive and well from an accident? What about Google employees that he's suing for black folks right now? What about Wells Fargo? What about Chase Bank? Only 5% is civil. And so when I hear people say, he lost the case, how could he lose it when he's not the state DA? How could he lose it when he's not the defense? He's the civil attorney. So I always, just for people to know, I tell people all the time, I'm Malcolm, he's Martin. We are very polar opposites in how we do things. I stress to him all the time that we must have a three-pronged approach. We must talk about the policy, which is why I be on Joe Biden's ass. We must also talk about the paper, which is the civil side. I call it the paper. Actually sue you and break the bank every time they kill you. I laugh at niggas when they say, excuse my French, when they say, I can't believe you getting money. I ain't never seen nobody that go to Walmart and don't see a wet sign and say, you suing. I wish I would fall. That's the first thing y'all say. Y'all suing?
That's
you
right.
Suing for that?
My neck, my
it.
back, my neck, and my back.
That's it. I never have you ever seen anybody that's driving and they say, man, that car hit me, it's on. I'm going to be on and such. So all you niggas sue. So now you mean to tell me when somebody takes a life of somebody, you're not supposed to sue? You better break the bank on their ass, because I believe that once they get tired of playing black folks' money, that will probably make a difference more quicker than it will on who electing somebody. So we must talk about policy. We must talk about suing your ass civilly. And yes, we still need to push for criminal punishment. All three of those things can be done at the same time. So when people are intentionally lying, saying, he cut a deal, How the fuck can he? I'm really getting
That's
into
all right.
it. y'all.
It's okay. Go ahead.
How the fuck, I got to say this because when we come next week, I try to be, more calm around him. How the fuck can he cut a deal? With who? The judge? So that means Ben has to literally get the judge to be on board, meaning break the law, go get the judge to be on board. He got to get the whole district attorney's office to be on board. It's not just one district attorney. It's everybody in the district attorney's office. And he has to go find whoever's going to be in the jury and get them to be on board. Do you see how stupid that sounds? I do have a lot of issues with a lot of these families that don't continue to push. I'll tell you that. If they're not push, meaning that
they get the
after
money,
they get their settlement and they don't say nothing else, it's on them. It's not on him. They went to him to say, "Hey, Sue, I tell Ben all the time, if we're gonna be on the stage fighting for justice, we also got to call out Joe Biden." I've told him, he said, "Tez, I respect you on that. Tell him I'm not getting on another damn stage unless it's about calling out Joe Biden." So all those things can be true at the same time. But when there's lies like, "Oh, he ain't never won a case," it's not true. It wasn't his case to win. He won his cases.
He's a civil lawyer, civil attorney.
Correct. Yeah. So it's just the misinformation. And I've told him sometimes attorney crime people, they don't know what you do because the lines get blurred a lot. Right. When you're the politician to them and the pastor to them and the attorney, the lines get blurred. So I tell him that and he listens, to what it is that I say. But at the end of the day, he's a humble man. I've never seen him upset ever. Like how he presents is how he presents. He's just a humble guy. And the misinformation is important. So I encourage people to watch the documentary to actually see for themselves because they do talk about, black farmers that got hundreds of millions of dollars. So if
And you coming back next week?
Yes, I am. So when they say, "Oh, man, he just selling out to white folk," when white folks start wanting us to get paid?
That's right.
If that's the case, we have reparations. So the math don't math. If you don't rock with them, don't rock with them. But don't lie on the man. Don't intentionally feed our people.
Does the doc explain all that?
It does.
Okay.
But I wish it could. I can't wait for you guys to see it. I wish it could have showed a lot of what he goes through that it doesn't show.
They sent it in our email. It's in our email.
Yeah, watch it. But it's a lot that it doesn't show, like the drama that he got to deal with behind the scenes. If people saw that, they wouldn't have. That's why people don't like practicing civil.
But we're going to talk about that more when he's up here, too.
Yeah,
we will. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I want to talk to Tez real quick about just some things that she posts, because she don't just talk politics. You know what I'm saying? Like last week she made an IG post about her disappointment of Amari Hardwick's reasoning as to why he married a white woman.
Yes. Oh, wow.
But what was his reason? I didn't hear that. What was his reason?
I don't know. That's a great question. That's what I wanted to know.
I thought he broke it down.
He did. Well, he did. But
Okay.
I'm being facetious when I say that. He started giving a analogy about slavery and how it was just a bunch of babble about how he was the field nigga and why he got to be the field nigga. He the master. Some on and on thing about it. And my concern with that was, I don't like when people use slavery analogies, in things that have nothing to do with what you're talking about. You married the woman because you said she stuck by you. You love her, you marry her, cool, we can get with that. But my problem that he had, how he phrased, his answer was, he said, when black people, he used we. He wasn't talking about him. He said when, basically she stuck, I'm paraphrasing, people can go back and watch the exact interview. He said when she stuck by him, she said, he said, when black people, when we see that and we see that you can endure the hardships, then we look at you and say, "Oh yeah, you in." And so that, to me, instead of the comment, because it was trending about how he had to borrow $100,000 from 50 Cent, that's what made me watch the interview. And so to me, I wanted to make it clear that just because your woman stood by you, does not mean she endures the hardships, that's equal to enduring the hardships, and particularly of black women. Now, he may not have meant it that way, but it was important to say it because black women stand by your black ass all the time, and we still got to be black.
That's right.
So she may be able to stand by you, but she still don't have to be black. It's nothing that compares to the hardship of a black woman or a black man. So a lot of folks in the comments, "Oh, don't be upset at successful black men." Who the hell is upset at successful black men? I literally put my life on the line for black folks, particularly black men. It's important, though, that we make the distinction between slavery and love. If you love old girl for rocking with you, then say that.
Right.
But don't try to compare and do this compare and contrast. It was just a long, unnecessary answer. And I had a problem with it. And to be honest with you, I was going to say something. Nobody's surprised why she stood by his fine ass. I mean, let's keep it real. It's a long line of people waiting behind her that were damn sure would have, and somebody said that she didn't have a lot of options on the table anyway, but I didn't say it, but somebody in the comments said it. He probably gonna get upset when he see this. But yeah, no, brother, just say you rock with old girl. We cool with that. You don't have to compare it to the hardships of black people. That's how I saw that.
Do you feel like women's everything, struggles, like things women go through, you feel like that's being marginalized in a lot of ways? I mean, it's always been marginalized, but it feels like it's being even more marginalized now. Like everybody wants to. They tell you that I know what it feels like to be a woman, and there's conversations about what is a woman. Like, you don't think that's strange?
That we're having to define what women are?
Yeah.
What are you trying to get? Where are you leading me to, Charlamagne? Well, I think the conversations that are happening now in various communities, you have the LGBT community, the trans community that's talking about what does it mean to be a woman, and is it the genitalia? Is it how you identify? So I think that's in the mix. That is, I really want to call myself an ovarian because I have ovaries. And if some are fallopian tuber. But then that might offend somebody and say, well, what are you trying to say? What's the difference? I think differences make people good. And I think it is a difference between me being able to bear a child and, someone who identifies as a woman. I don't have a problem with that. But it's also not my thing to be out here telling people. That's not, something that I rock with, telling people how they need to be and who you need to be and who you need to love and who you need to sleep with. I think you're black first before you're anything, before you're any gender, before you're any political party, before you're a part of any community, the working class or whatever it is you think you are black first. And so that's important. Matter of fact, because Omar said in that same interview, I'm God's child first and then I'm black. Well, unfortunately, America don't see you as God's child. At all. They see you as black. So the reality is you're black first. That's just the reality. So I'm more aligned with that. But I think, Charlamagne, it's just a lot of questions with LGBT. And there's questions in the black community among us of this women and men,
we compare our struggles. Black men and black women compare their struggles.
They call it a gender war or whatever. I'm a veteran, so I don't see it as a war. I understand what real war is. So there's just a lot. And there's a lot of black women that feel unheard and have been unheard, for a very long time. And so as people are making space for black women, like you've done with the Black Affair Podcast Network, shout out to you. I laugh at people. They truly don't know who you are as a person. But all of the space that you've made for women has allowed women to have the conversation and say, why does somebody have to make space in the first place? So there's all of those things when people are saying, why are we having this conversation about women? And what does it mean to be a woman? I'm a woman, so.
It's interesting because it's like you're a military vet, so you would understand this. We're all on the battlefield.
Right.
And we're all in this one unit, right?
Right.
And missiles are all coming at us. So why am I complaining? There's more missiles coming this way.
Right.
There's more missiles coming that way. We standing right by each other.
Right.
Whether you're black man, black woman, LGBT, black.
Right.
We're all on the same battlefield.
Right. It's also important, though, and I use this analogy with the military, to understand we all have a different role. And that's why I say push the line. My logo has a person pushing the P, the U, the S. Like we all need to do something different. The military does something different. That's why you have the Army. That's why you have a few good men in the Marines. That's why you have the Air Force. That's why you have the Navy. People have to understand their role. So although we are aligned, meaning we're all trying to go to the same place, you also need to know your role. And I think that's important. And a lot of politicians don't like telling people, this ain't your role, homie. This ain't your gift. This is not your ministry. You need to do something else. Remember when last time I was here a few years ago, and he's like, oh, you should go work for the campaign. And I was like, no, you need me on the microphone.
That's right.
I've turned down many opportunities just to be on this microphone, contrary to popular belief. So knowing our role makes a difference too. So although we align, we ain't the same. And that's why you see me go in on people on comments all the time. You in the comments. Get in the game. You at the game, but you in the stands. So until you get on the field to put in the work with the receipts, then you and we can't have a dialogue because you ain't my colleague, homie. So I think that's where the difference is. And social media is a great equalizer to a lot of people. You think because you got access to Instagram, like I got access to Instagram, that your opinion is just as valid. Because politicians, everybody has a voice. No, you don't. Shut the fuck up. I mean, straight up. I tell people all the time, sit your ass down. I tell you when to talk and when not to talk. It's my wall. I'm in charge. My trainer's going to be like that, by the way, too. A real boot camp. In using that analogy, when we went to training, it was about sending you home, not making you stay. Politicians do that again, going back to the analogy. They want you to stay. They don't tell you go home. Pastors don't tell you to get out their church. They tell you to stay. Why? Because they need that offering. Pimps don't tell you to go home. They tell you to keep walking. Politicians don't tell you don't vote for me. They do everything and lie to get you to vote for them and the money. If we're going to run it like we should run it, which is a real war, Gideon's Army, 300, we don't need 10,000, I'm trying to make you leave training. I'm trying to make you reconsider life. I'm trying to make you do like I did when I called my homegirl the first day. It's a good shit just got real. They say, hey, we ain't trying to keep everybody. We want to challenge you in a way to divide the weak from the strong.
That's real.
Keep your ass home. We don't need everybody. We ain't all aligned. I'm not Tezlyn ain't for everybody. I'm for some. And that's how I like it. But it doesn't mean that we don't need allies, that we don't need accomplices. I just think that people have different roles. Our sister Tamika talks about accomplices. That's her role. That ain't my role. I talk about soldiers. Our brother Killer Mike talks about allies. I don't want no allies. When I did, I had my staffing firm was actually named the Ally Group in corporate America. But on this battlefield, it's about soldiers. It's about, I talk about the boys in the hood analogy all the time. When Trey was in the car, remember Trey did all that talking? Got some ass off of him. Remember, he did all the screaming and yelling, got some sex, had the blood on his shirt, swinging at the wind, jumping all out the window. Remember?
Yeah.
Defied his daddy. I mean, he went through it all.
Jumped in that car?
He jumped in that car, then when the shit got real, what happened?
Doe, let me out.
Don't let me out.
Let me out, Doe.
And Doe looked at him, Ice Cube, which is so ironic because, our brother be pushing the black agenda. He looked at him like, nigga, I knew you was never built for this. And see, so I blame Doughboy. You shouldn't have never let his weak ass in the car. You know he wasn't built for this. When you let Trey in the car, Trey gonna get you shot or get you in jail. Trey should have went on to Morehouse.
Or tell on you.
That's it. That's what I said, go to jail. He gonna either tell on you or get you shot. But what did Doughboy do? He got out the car. Not only did he blast him, he went up face to face. That's the difference between soldiers. That's why I say everybody ain't the same. You can grieve. He was grieving his friend, but you wasn't built for this. It was meant for Doughboy, yes, even to die. It was meant for that. So we all got to have different roles. So I tell people, take your ass, you go on the porch. Don't come out in the streets. Stay on the porch and do what you do. So I think that's important. That's analogies that I like to use when I'm training so you can know your role. I'm a soldier, babe. I'm a veteran. Stop expecting me to act like a civilian. I was an M60 gun, a 23-pound weapon. I didn't do no paperwork. So now you want me to be on Twitter. No. Charlamagne's going to send healing energy. I'm going to tell you to go fuck yourself. That's the difference.
Now, before you leave, since you are a vet, I just want to talk
really
about
going in today.
AR-15s.
Yeah.
Should they be allowed for civilians?
I do not think so.
I agree.
I agree with that.
I
do not believe that AR-15 should be allowed for civilians, but I do believe that black people should arm themselves. I do believe in self-defense. I do believe if Trayvon Martin, because remember, he wasn't killed by the state. He was killed by a civilian. Right. If Trayvon Martin actually had a pistol and what George thought he had instead of Skittles, either he would still be here today or we would have been burying George and Trayvon. I believe that Ahmaud Arbery, had he had the gun in his hand that they thought that he had, if he really was the threat that they thought that he had, he was outnumbered, but maybe would have been burying one of them too. So I believe that black people should be armed, trained, have legal firearms because, hey, I put your gun down and I put my shit down too. As long as y'all keep me y'all shit, I'm going to keep mine. So I just believe in that. I really do.
Just military style weapons, period.
Yeah.
Automatic weapons, I don't think so.
And the police shouldn't be military,
I agree.
either. So if we're going to talk about AR-15s, let's talk about the police department and how they trying to be the military too. But then when it was time to be the military with those kids,
that's right.
Your punk ass stayed on the sideline.
They said they didn't have the keys to get in.
Right. And that you see that mother went there and got her own child.
That's right.
She went and got her own child. So do y'all want to be military or not be military? Like, which one is it? You military when it's unarmed men, you put them on the ground. You put your knee in their neck. You all about that. But when it was time to really be about that, what we call the military time to clear the room, they train you to clear the room. I was literally trained to clear the room. So which one is it? You military, you're not military. I don't know. Let's ask Cory Booker. He pushing for more funding. Hey, Cory.
Give me your Twitter and Instagram, Tez.
Tezlyn Figaro. Follow me on Instagram if you want to, and if not, oh well. I don't want your vote. I don't want your donation. I don't want shit from you. So.
And tell them the text to push the line.
Yes. Text 66866. Push the line to 66866. We are recruiting now for the training. It will be in Atlanta, Georgia, September 10th.
All right.
And make sure y'all subscribe to the Straight Shot
Yes.
No Chaser podcast on the Black Effect iHeartRadio podcast network. That's Tezlyn's podcast if you want to hear more of this real shit, okay, on a weekly basis.
All right. Well, it's the Breakfast Club. It's Tez.